Hey, welcome back to the Soul Pod. This is Stacy. Today's topic is going to be a big one. This is going to be a two-part video, so watch this one first. Don't skip ahead. Um, but it's a big topic, and I'm going to try to do it service in this short form. I'll be doing an episode on the Soul Podcast that goes much deeper, but I wanted to introduce it here and give you some tools that'll be really useful if you struggle with things like happiness and the idea of finding someone to kind of complete you, or if you're just having a hard time getting out of the house and being social for that matter. All that applies here. So let's jump in. The influential American psychologist Carl Rogers had this concept he called the curious paradox. And the curious paradox was, he said, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. The personal change can't begin until we first get to this point where we understand that this is who I am. I accept this is who I am. I accept myself as I am. Now, any change that doesn't start from there is going to be a big challenge. But the curious paradox is you have to get to that point of self-acceptance to really have effective and fast transformation. The reason that's important is we're going to go into how to go about doing that today. Frequently, we'll look for relationships that help develop us, to expand us, to complete us, dare I say. But what if the most important relationship in our lives, our entire lives, is the one we have with ourselves? Think about it for a moment. The relationship we have with ourselves is 24 hours a day. It shapes everything. It shapes how we feel, how we act, how we interact with everybody else, psychologically, how we relate to the world. It's all this basis of ourselves, our core. The relationship we have with the person in the mirror determines all those things, as well as our spiritual level in life. No one else can do these things for us. No one else can set us up for success psychologically, in terms of our happiness, in terms of our productivity, in terms of our spiritual life. No one else can do that. Well, except that one person, you, the person in the mirror. And when you don't have a solid relationship with that person, you suffer. We all do. So we're going to explore this through Carl Rogers' lens, and we're going to look at it both from the psychological side as well as the spiritual side, and we're going to bring those things together. And in the end, I'll share a tool for you to help you start integrating this work and developing a stronger, more solid relationship with yourself. Are you ready? So, getting on the psychological side of it, the relationship we have with ourselves seems to be the key to mental health. I mean, there's two sides, two ways to look at this. Think of a day when you were just crushing it. You know, you're at work or wherever, and you're just in the zone, man. You're just on fire, and you just can do no wrong. Bam, 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 just knocking it out. How did you feel about yourself that day? I mean, when you started the day, I know how you felt about yourself when you're crushing it, because that always feels good. But I bet you at the beginning of the day, you came in liking yourself, enjoying your life, feeling good about stuff. Because when we start from that place, we're much more likely to have a successful day. We're much more likely to get in there and crush it, to just tear it up. Conversely, we flip that. Think of a day when it was just falling apart. You know, it just started bad and it just kept going downhill from there. What's the internal story? You see, it's the internal story. If you're driving to work and someone ticks you off, does something in traffic or whatever, and you're like, it's going to be one of those days, and then it becomes one of those days because it's your internal story, right? It's the same thing with the relationship you have with yourself, the way you relate to yourself. If you are inside yourself going, man, I got this, I'm killing it, I'm crushing it, I'm stoked about this person that I am today. Man, I am on fire. I'm great. I'm a wonderful human being to hang out with. We're projecting that light from the inside of us to the outside of us. Do you see? And when it's the other way around and we don't like ourselves, we all know someone who doesn't like themselves, who's unhappy with life, who's a miserable human being. And that darkness projects outside of them, but it also keeps them locked inside of themselves. The relationship they have with themselves is so bad, they can't expand, they shrink. We all know someone like this, whether it's a friend or a family member or a coworker. We all know someone or have known someone, right? And we've also known someone that's that expansive type I'm talking about, the kind who has a love of life, has a love for themselves, not like an arrogant kind of love, but loving the person they are, like being proud of the person they are, being able to look in the mirror and say, man, I love you. You are wonderful. Just being able to do that one thing. And many of us can't do that, not comfortably. But when you get there, you start glowing like that person that I'm talking about. And those people that can drop into that, man, look like they're living a blessed life, right? So how do we get there? The first step is reflection. Reflection about your self-judgment. Ask yourself for a moment, in what ways do I dislike myself? In what ways do I dislike myself? In what ways do I judge myself? Pause a moment. I mean, really pause a moment and think about that. If you've got a pen and paper in front of you, if you're not driving a car or something, um, sit down and write it. Write down, in what ways do I judge myself? In what ways do I tell myself stories about myself? How do I judge me? What are the mean things I tell myself about me? And we all do. We all do. We all have these moments where, you drop something and you go, oh, that was stupid. I mean, that may sound like a little thing, but the relationship you have with yourself is key. The person who should love you the most is judging you. And it's the person whose opinion you respect the most, your own. Whether you know it or not, even if you have a dislike for yourself, when you yourself are judging you harshly, there's no one that could judge you more harshly. Someone outside of you can say something all day long, and yeah, it might hurt, but it's not going to hurt like that. But we get so used to the pain of the judgment we have for ourselves that we take it. We take it in like it's a normal thing, but it's not. It's the voice that holds us down. It's a terrible thing. When you can flip it, it changes everything. You ready to flip it? So let's talk a little bit about the psychology of this thing. Um, Psychologically, our self-talk has incredible implications on our happiness. And let me explain why. Um, if someone says something to you that's negative, that hurts. Like if someone judges you, it has that potential to hurt or make you angry or whatever. Um, when you have a negative conversation with yourself, a judgment, it hurts more. And you may not think so because you're accustomed to it. It's your normal setting if you do that. But it's very destructive. We may be getting used to it. We may be used to hearing negative self-talk, but it's incredibly destructive. And I'll explain why. There's a feedback loop that happens psychologically, where maybe if we have this story in our mind that I'm not that smart, or I'm really clumsy, or whatever. Pick anything. Let's say I'm really clumsy, and you're so clumsy. Now we can talk about where that thought came from. Someone else probably planted it there when you were young. Maybe you tripped as a small child, and someone said, "Oh, you're so clumsy," and you held on to it, and now you believe it because you heard it so young. That's a whole nother level of work that you can do with your psychologist or psychiatrist. But this will get to the heart of it as well. So the story is, I'm clumsy, right? And then you drop something and it shatters, and you go, ugh, see, I'm clumsy. Well, our brains are pattern recognizing machines. We're constantly looking for patterns. That's psychologically, neurologically. There's been all this great research that's shown this again and again and again. We're always looking for patterns, right? And so if we tell ourselves a story, then we look to validate the story. It's a feedback loop. So when we drop something, we break it, and we go, you see, you're so clumsy. That proves it. Now we just reinforced the negative thought we had about ourselves. You see how that works? See how it brings you down? Now you've validated the negative thing you thought about yourself. You're damaging the relationship that you have with the most important person in your life, you. So let's talk about Carl Rogers now. Carl Rogers said the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, only then I can change, right? So we got to learn to accept ourselves, flaws and all. That's the starting point, okay? We have to accept ourselves, flaws and all, warts, everything, all this stuff that we judge ourselves for. And we're going to come back to that, okay? Before we do, though, I want to drop into the spiritual side of us because that's the other half of it, and it's just as important. So I want to touch on it. Spiritually, our self relationship, our relationship with ourself, is so important because it's about, the relationship we have is about honoring this journey in this body, this once in a lifetime journey in this body. This is a journey no one else will ever have. It doesn't matter what kind of body you have, what kind of physical capabilities you have, what sort of physical attributes you have. None of those things matter. The journey is what matters, right? And you get it one time, and nobody else in the entire universe ever in history will have the journey that you're having right now because you are one of a kind, right? Are you following me? So honoring that, and accepting yourself as you are, warts and all, right? That's part of the spiritual part of this. So there's the psychological part, and then there's the spiritual part. Both of them matter, right? So you have to dive into both, and you have to peel back the layers. You have to accept yourself, warts and all, to even begin the work. But when you do, magic. Now, we've all known someone with sort of a quiet confidence, whether it's a coworker, a friend, a family member, someone who, and I'm not talking about arrogance, I'm talking about quiet confidence. That person who, remember there was a kid in school, in high school, who got punched. He wasn't a very popular kid. He's kind of a smart mouth. Someone just popped him one day. And one of the guys who's very, very talented fellow, was a soccer player and always, very nice guy. He walked in through the crowd and helped this guy up. It was a very unpopular, unlikable guy. And just reached down, helped him to his feet, say, "Come on, let's go," and walked him out. That always impressed me because the quiet confidence he had, there was no boastfulness to it. There was none of that. There was just this quiet confidence. He was someone who, at the age of 16 or 17, knew himself so well that he saw the right thing to do in this moment and did it without fear or discomfort. He knew himself well enough to know that this wasn't even going to be a problem for him. He wasn't causing any problem with anyone else. No one else was going to call him on it. There's something about that kind of quiet confidence when we know ourselves that projects outside of us. People see it, right? And wouldn't we all love to have that level of quiet confidence? See, it's like having a light inside that the brighter it gets, the more it shines outside of us. Now flip it on the other side. We also know, everybody knows someone, whether a friend, family member, coworker, who just is completely unhappy in themselves, who you may not know it, but their internal story is incredibly self-judging. And it shows in many ways. It could show in their personal hygiene. It could show in the way they keep their car. If you get in someone's car and it's an utter mess, it says so much about what the inner turmoil inside of them. People's houses are frequently the same as well. But the darkness in us also seeps out. Now, our light projects, like it just projects. People want to be around us. People appreciate us. They enjoy us. They respect us. And that darkness, it just pushes people away. It does seep out of us, even though we may try to hide it if we have that. But we all have that balance. The vast majority of us have a balance of a little bit of both of those things, a little bit of the darkness, a little bit of the lightness. And it comes from that internal story. Okay, so it's about flipping the script with the internal story and actually starting to change the way you see yourself and change the story you're telling yourself. So let's get into the work. If you got a pen, a paper, if you're in a place where you can write, do this. Ask yourself, and I don't care if you just get one answer to this or multiple answers. You need at least one, though. In what ways do I judge myself? In what ways do I judge myself? Or if you would like, you can also say, what mean stories do I tell myself? What are the stories in your head? You know, I'm dumb, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not talented enough, I don't have enough hair, whatever, whatever it is, in whatever way you judge yourself, write one thing down, just at least one thing. If you can do multiple, do multiple, because that's great. And it also, if you're writing down multiple right now, damn, good work. Most people are resistant to it. And if you've written down more than one already, then, well, you're clearly open to this work and you're going to do great. So now I want to reflect back on what Carl Rogers said, the curious paradox, right? The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, only then can I change. So this thing that you just wrote about yourself, okay, fine. So what? Sometimes you're clumsy, sometimes you're whatever. Whatever this judgment is about yourself, accept it. Accept it. Who cares? Who cares? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. It doesn't really matter. But who cares? What's it matter? It's only you telling yourself that story. We're going to go a step beyond this. We're going to go a step beyond this in the next video. The next video, we're going to dive in a really big way. There's only one person that you spend every minute of every day with. A person who knows all your secrets, all your shames, all your embarrassments, all your insecurities. That person should be your best friend. You share everything with that person. They should love you, warts and all. In the next video, we're going to dive into some tools for how to develop the greatest relationship in your life with the greatest person you know. Are you ready for it? Video 2 is going to be about that special someone we all hope to find. You know, it's natural, and I think it's an interesting reflex. I think we've all been programmed maybe by pop music and movies to believe that we can find someone to complete us. What if the person who's going to complete us is already here? Join me on the next video. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you soon.